So, welcome. Now, imagine a ship that is sailing in uncharted water, facing storm after storm after storm. So, traditional systems would aim simply to hold it all together until we get into calmer waters. But what if I said that there could be a system that with every wave and thunderclap, your ship actually became sturdier, smarter, and better able to navigate? That's the essence of anti-fragile governance. It just doesn't weather the storm, it thrives because of it. But why does this matter for AI and a broader system governance? Because surviving is simply not enough. Our frameworks must actively evolve. They must turn every challenge, mistake, or regulatory shift into a source of strength. This is the path to future-proof, ethical, and trusted AI everywhere. So let's be very clear on what we mean by anti-fragile. So it's a term that was coined by Nassim Taleb, the man of Black Swan fame. And it's fundamentally different from resilient. A resilient system gets hit and bounces back to its original state. Anti-fragile systems get hit, learns from that shock, and becomes stronger than it was before. This isn't just continuous improvement in the traditional sense, which is often slow, planned, and reactive. This is an active, dynamic adaptation. For AI, this means that every bias discovered, every model drift, every unexpected output isn't just a failure, it's the fuel to become safer and more ethical. So this slide is actually the core of this mind shift set. Mindset shift is actually what I'm trying to say. So traditional governance is about prevention. It's a static set of rules designed to stop bad things from happening. It's a fortress with high walls. However, as we've seen during the day, the problem is in the world of AI, there are threats that are new every day, which in practice means that you cannot build a wall high enough. Anti-fragile governance is, as we have already hinted, proactive. It assumes stressors and failures are inevitable. So instead of just trying to prevent them, it focuses on learning from them instantly. The key difference is that an anti-fragile system just doesn't wait to go back to normal after a disruption. It wants to create a new normal that is stronger, smarter, and more robust. Here is now where the theory becomes in practice. Because how do you make mistakes to pay dividends? Well, you do that by treating every accident as an opportunity. As we can see from the Nordbank example, it's a perfect case study. They didn't just log an error and fix it. They built a system where every single compliance breach or bias issue automatically triggered a full review and crucially, this is the most crucially, an update on their pipeline controls. The result then wasn't just fixing one model. The result was 85% reductions in quarterly incidents. They didn't just survive mistakes, they profited from them in the form of resilience and efficiency, cutting their new model approval time by more than half. So, here we see the engine of anti-fragile governance. First, we have the adaptive risk management. This is your sensor. This is real-time monitoring and critically systematic logging of all failures, big and small. Second, we have multi-layered validation. This is your quality control. Not just one automated check, but a cascade of automated expert and peer reviews, meaning human in the loop already here. Then we have third, we have the automated control updates. This is your response. When a new risk is validated, the policy changed is rolled out. So not only validated, sorry, it's validated, checked, and managed. The policy change is rolled out automatically and not just in quarterly reviews, review cycle. And so what's the result of all this? The result is that every single incident, not just the ones that make the headlines, becomes a measurable lesson. You build stakeholder trust, not just by promising that you will never fail, but by providing that you say, but proving, sorry, but by proving that you get stronger every time there is a failure. So, if the last slide was the engine, these are the pillars to hold up the entire structure. So we have dynamic assurance, that's your real-time awareness. It's moving from static audit to live monitoring. We have validation cascades. That means that it's a validation that is a knock-on. So one validation knocks onto another, that moves on to a third, and so on until you have done them all. That is your systematic learning loop. That ensures that you will think that what you think is fixed actually stays fixed. Your automated controls, there are your enforcement mechanism. This is what gives you the ability to scale. You can't have 1,000 models and one manual reviews team. That's impossible. This part automates the enforcement of your policies. And finally, the continuous learning. This is the edit we just made. That's meaning the change of the policy. This is the proof that the system. This is the proof of the system. That is where you log failure systematically, you perform a root cause analysis, and you feed those learnings back into the model to refine themselves. So it is a loop that is at the same time closed and open. So, but, as always, what gets in the way for this perfect new world? So while this is on paper a very, very powerful framework, it is not an easy framework. It is where everyone would be doing it. The barriers are always almost human and organizational, not technical. So we were talking about change management before. First, so one of the problems we have is legacy mindset and IT inertia. We have heard it before. This is how we've always done it. Okay, the solution is, as the Canal Plus found, it's not just to rip and replace. It is to overlay. Start with the share intelligence platform and prove the value incrementally, and then clean out what is not working. So the secondary, there we have the regulatory uncertainty. Yes, laws change. How we are supposed to implement said rules are changed. But to say that we can't move until the law is perfectly clear, that's a trap. The solution is to use sandboxes, and if it is big enough, you use a sandbox together with the regulator. If not, you use a sandbox only for your company. And a sandbox is a small part where you can test things without it being affected larger part of society or the company. So that means that you engage with, maybe if you're big enough, say with regulators, you show them your controls and help shape the regulations by proving what good can look like. Third, cultural silos. We all know them. That's not my department, not my headache. However, anti-fragile governance requires that risk, compliance, ethics, and tech all speak the same language and are all at the table in the same room. At AstraZeneca, for instance, they have an AI resolution board. That's a brilliant solution, I think. It's a rotating case study-based team that builds and shares know-how. So, and as we can see, I wanted to show that this is not just a Western or European concept. We see these principles emerging globally. We can see, I have listed a few examples here. There are many more, but these are the ones I found with a quick search. And we can see here as well how, the multi-stakeholder collaboration is important in everywhere. And we can also see this, I prove very well, that anti-fragile governance is a concept. It is not a rule book. It is a way to think when we solve problems, and also that we solve problems that become solved, that remains solved. So this is Africa and Australia, two other large parts. And I think it's very interesting to see that in Africa, they are so quick in taking this upon themselves and to actually work very, very fast on this area. So how can you as a leader then solve this and implement it in your organization? As mentioned, don't wait for perfection. Start by sandboxing small new practices, often inviting regulators. And the thing is, even if you are a company, invite the regulator, because the regulator knows that you cannot always follow the law, but they want to know why you don't follow the law, and they want to know how you have recorded why you don't follow the law, and above all, what you're going to do when something happens if you don't follow the law. And then you break down the silos. You create cross-team upskilling programs and public-private partnerships. Don't try to boil the ocean. Focus on harmonizing data one phrase at a time. And most importantly, foster a culture of blameless learning. Don't pass the blame onto someone else. If something happened, it happened. Let's not look at who is to blame, look at the root cause, and reward teams for finding solutions, not for pretending they don't exist. This is about solutions, not perfection. And I think that could be something that we should all do well to remember. In this setting here and now, this might very well be the most important slide in the deck, because it addresses the non-technical heart of the challenge. And the hardest part isn't with AI ethics, isn't about finding the bias. It is about asking who has the authority to define what is fair. The anti-fragile answer is that no single group does. It must be a stakeholder, multi-stakeholder approach. It is not just tech and legal, it's customers, it's advocacy groups, it's academics, it's users, it's everyone that we can think about. They must have a say one way or another. So the solution then can be a combination of automated checks plus human governance, like AstraZeneca's rotating board together with external ethicists. And that you back it all up with continuous audit trails, so you have a transparent, verifiable record of how you are addressing bias and change. So, following the ethics, we must also talk about autonomy. As AI systems become more and more independent, our controls must become more robust. We have to close the responsibility gap. That means defining and logging the accountability chain for every autonomous decision. This requires required human agency for any high risk or irreversible decision. You must have human multi-layered oversight. It also means autonomous safety controls. These are then the kill switches and overrides that are independent of the AI model itself. And finally, complete audit trails. It cannot be stressed enough how important this is. It's absolutely non-negotiable. Immutable lodge of all changes and decisions are the only way to ensure traceability and defensibility. So this is where governance stops being a cost center and becomes a competitive advantage. Firms that can prove that their AI is trustworthy and explainable, they report higher revenue growth. Why? because trust is the new currency. Mandatory explainability is no longer just a legal requirement, it's a customer requirement and customer expectation. Mitigating risks like hallucinations isn't just defense, it's about building a reliable product. Ultimately, organizations that prioritize transparency gain measurable edge because they earn regulatory public trust faster. So how do you know that all this is working? If you have all these audit logs, and how do you know that it's actually working? The thing is, you have to change what you measure. Stop measuring just the number of incidents and start measuring the speed of your response. What is your incident to policy cycle time? Is it days? Is it months? Are you seeing a clear year-on-year risk reductions as a result of your learning loops? Are your audit and rollback processes frequent, fast, or painful and slow? And finally, your stakeholders' trust score. That includes employees, customers, regulator. Are these trust scores going up? These are the true KPIs of an anti-fragile system. So, let us bring it home. First, transform your framework from a static fortress to a dynamic learning system. Second, practice proactive risk management. That means use failures as data to evolve your controls. Third, build ethical foundations through inclusivity. You cannot do this alone. You must bring in multi-stakeholder teams. Fourth, prioritize transparency. This is your single greatest trust builder and competitive differentiator. And finally, look upon this as a journey. Anti-fragility is not a destination, it's a new ongoing way of operation. So, thank you for your time. My name is Sara Magdalena Goldberger, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Please feel free to reach out, phone, email, or the QR code where you can connect. Thank you.